What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to part 2 of First Round Grades NBA Draft by Gary Parrish. This is CBS NBA. So I'm kind of reviewing, and if you have not watched part 1, please go watch part 1. And I've already done the top 5. I'm going to do 6 through 10 now. So Atlanta Hawks, number 6 on the board, and they drafted, I'm going to slaughter this guy's name, and I do apologize in advance, Onyeka Okongwu from USC. He is a player that Gary Parrish had in the top 10 of his own big board. So this is a strange fit that he's calling it in terms of front court players. He thought that Atlanta might actually draft Obi Toppin, but didn't. And the Hawks have Clint Capella already as a defense center to protect the rim. So this is a C+ he gave them. I agree. Why would you need another player, that you didn't really need at the moment? So I really don't understand either why Atlanta drafted this guy. I'm not saying this guy's a bad player. I'm just saying you need to fit your holes first before you draft a player that you need as a backup or whatever. So you need your starting player. Atlanta has struggled. We've seen that. They did not help their case with the first round. They had something they could have done with it. They should have drafted Toppin, and they didn't. That was a big loss on them. Instead, he got drafted at number 8 by the Knicks. So number 7, Detroit Pistons. They drafted somebody from France. Killian, I think I pronounced that right, Hayes. Killian Hayes from France. So, Gary Parrish says that he thinks that Hayes is a good player. I don't know much about him to say yay or nay, but had others as better fits and prospects. Hayes is a trustworthy, creative, run your team type of guard, but he needs to develop a jump shot. Okay, not every player needs to develop a jump shot. And then Gary Parrish goes on to say, if you believe he can develop that jumper, this pick makes a lot of sense, but he gave it a C+. However, like I said in part 1 of this two-parter series, that you don't just need a jump shooter. You need somebody who's going, like this guy. I think this guy is probably, it seems like he's a good fit. He's trustworthy, creative. I love a good creative player. Run your team type of guard. I kind of like that. So yeah, he will eventually work on shooting, I'm sure. But that's not the main priority as well. I do agree the Pistons need some sort of shooting, but not desperate, I don't think. I don't think they're extremely horrible. They just got to get it together somehow. They got to fit all the puzzle pieces together and make this team work with what they have and then with this guy. And I think that they can do that. It's just going to take time. Is this a good pick? I think yes. From the way that it seems, from the way that I'm reading correctly, you want this type of player on your team, especially if they're a good defensive player. Because yes, shooting-wise, but you need somebody who can rebound, who can, pass with ease without having to, turn the ball over. You need somebody who can produce steals for your team as well and be a good team player. You need this type of person on your team, and I think he could be a good fit for the Pistons. We'll see. The Pistons saw something in him that, Gary Parrish is not seeing, apparently. So I didn't see him going in the top 10. So this is a huge, kind of ordeal, I think, for the Pistons to do something like this with their draft pick. So New York Knicks, and the season's starting like in a month, a little over a month from now. So New York Knicks at number 8 drafted Obi Toppin from Dayton. I think he's a good player. Of course, Gary Parrish gave this an A+ pick. The Knicks obviously needed a lot, but that fan base will love this guy. They desperately want something to be excited about. Toppin can be that. And I agree. I would not have taken him first overall, but he should not have dropped this far and should be the favorite rookie of the year. Yeah, this guy was definitely a first drafter, and New York took advantage of that. And I think this is one of the best picks they could have gotten in this draft. But yeah, I think that they needed a player like Toppin, and I think that he's going to, I'm not saying New York's got, I'm sorry, but the Knicks have a really long way to go. And we've seen that, every year it's disappointment after disappointment. Something needs to happen with this team. Will we see them be successful at some point within the next 2-3 years? I hope so for the fans' sakes. I'm a Lakers fan. Been a Lakers fan since I was 12. I'm now 31. So, yeah, I really don't know a whole lot, but I'm also a St. Louis Cardinals fan, so I've kind of understood the upsets on that. And I'm a Cowboys fan on top of that. So, yeah, I know how it is to be a fan and to see your team struggle yearly and just continue struggle making silly mistakes and silly draft picks or whatever. I mean, you need a team player, and you need a player that can play as a team and can play with anybody. I mean, that's all it is to it. You basically need to get your crap together if you're New York at this point in time. So what other way to do it is to do it now. With 20 being such a crazy year anyway, season's starting around the corner. What are you going to do with your team? If you're in New York, what's going to happen? So this was a good pick. Gary Parrish, of course, gave him an A+. I agree with that. I think this is a good pick for New York. What can they do with their picks? So I'm not going to say anything else because you really don't know. Excuse me. Number 9, Washington Wizards actually drafted somebody from Israel. So I really don't know this guy at all, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm trying not to slaughter it. Dini. It's probably not Dini. It's probably like Denai or something like that. I'm not even going to try his last name. It starts with an A. Sorry, I'm just not going to try that. Most people I spoke, this is Gary Parrish talking here. Most people I spoke with thought that this Denai guy was the best international prospect in this draft. Excuse me. I had Toppin ahead of this guy, and many people in the NBA tell me I was wrong for that. But here he was for the Wizards to grab him. So he's something. Hopefully, Parrish gave him a B+. We'll see if they can actually do well with this guy. When you're drafting overseas, I think the leagues over there is quite different. I'm not for sure. I know somebody that was trying to actually play in a league in Australia, and they didn't get to play because of all this COVID mess that started happening. And so, but I know that when I was following his Instagram stuff, that it was just one of those things you should never do no. So how will he actually come over here and be successful? Like, how would he fit into America's NBA team? How will he fit in? We'll see. It's exciting to see that kind of thing happen. Phoenix Suns drafted Jalen Smith out of Maryland. So Gary Parrish says surprise on every level. He doesn't understand it. He thought that he liked Jalen Smith more than most, but had him in the late teens. But Phoenix is making moves. So, they already got Chris Paul. So what's going to happen with Jalen Smith? I haven't got to watch this guy play either. I know I stink right now for not watching a lot of these guys play. But at the same time, Suns are making moves. So don't count them out because they just drafted Jalen Smith. Come on now. Like, be for real. This guy gave them a D-. Give them a C for crying out loud. Honestly, Phoenix does not deserve a D at this point in time. They're making moves. Don't worry about who they drafted at this moment in time. Trust me. I think Phoenix is going to be a surprise team. Will they do excellent? Probably not. But will they be kind of successful? Yeah, I think so. We don't know yet. We'll see when the season starts, but I can't wait for that. Anyway, that concludes part 2. This concludes the NBA draft grades for me. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Appreciate it. See ya.